Anthony Rendon is a third baseman for the Anaheim Angels, and he had some comments that triggered a lot of people. And I think this correlates to the Warriors because there's some things that I've heard about the Warriors from their players regarding the fans, dedication to the game, etc. So listen to what Anthony Rendon said in 888-957-9570. How does that make you feel? What do you think when you hear these comments?
That's never been a top priority for me. This is a job. So I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving.
Is it a priority?
Oh, it's a priority for sure. This is my job. I'm here, aren't I?
Do you want to be here?
I don't want to talk to you guys at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is. So
Do you want to like be here playing baseball?
I have answered your question. So why do you keep picking at it?
Oh, yeah, you technically answered it.
Thank you.
You know, I think the one thing that triggers fans is when they hear that a player says that their feelings don't matter, that their opinions don't matter, and when you hear a player who might has been injured or unavailable or underperforming admit out loud that that sport isn't their top priority, I do think that triggers a lot of people. But take a step back. Can't we all agree? Your job, like on the surface, your job, whatever it is, plumber, electrician, politician, baseball player, basketball player, football player, should never override your family. Like on the surface, we all agree. But there are certain professions where, depending on where you are in the hierarchy, and this is where I want to get your thoughts here, FP, you do have to sacrifice your family to stay in that industry. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm not comparing myself to a professional athlete, but like had my wife and I had children prior to me getting into radio, I'm not sure she would have allowed me to work multiple jobs and work nights and weekends and do all of the necessary things I needed to do to get a full-time day part job in radio. And so I was able to do some sacrificing, and she did some sacrificing. And because of our family situation, maybe I would have looked at the situation differently if I had to put that at the expense of my son, for example. And you were talking about how when you were playing, you had to sacrifice part of your family.
Dude, I've sacrificed so much for both careers, baseball and broadcasting. And as a player, when you have marginal talent and you're a 20th round draft pick and you sign for $1,000, like you're a salmon swimming upstream and you have to prove yourself at every level.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the luxury of being the greatest husband or the greatest father because it was 5-6 hours a day in the off season working just to get to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And then to stay in the big leagues, you had to work even harder. So I've sacrificed so much time with my kids. I miss so much stuff. As a broadcaster, being on the East Coast for 11 years, I'm doing a game with my cell phone up and my mom's filming at-bats my son's senior year in high school, and I'm watching them in the middle of a live broadcast, watching his at-bats, commenting on plays I'm seeing. So like we all sacrifice, but I think there's a way to do both.
Okay.
I'm not saying that baseball was more important than my family.
Yeah.
The way I justified it in my mind, Joe, was that I was going to provide for them and give them a better life. And in the meantime, chase my own dreams.
Absolutely.
So there was some selfish aspect of it. I wanted to be a baseball player since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I thought I could balance both. Did I do it the best way I thought possible at the time? Yes. But for a guy, if I'm sitting in traffic and I'm going to work and I'm making whatever, and there's a guy that's making $245 million and he says that it's not his top priority, there's probably a lot of people that this is the case for in professional sports.
Absolutely.
Steph Curry comes to mind. I bet you Steph Curry thinks the same way. But he's the best shooter ever. He's got 4 championships. He's lived up to every dollar amount he's made. You could argue that if the Warriors are worth $8 billion, that he should be getting paid $8 billion, and we would all be okay with it. But he's I think smart enough and savvy enough that you just don't have to come out and say that.
I agree.
I think it's implied when you watch the husband that he is and the father that he is.
No doubt. LeBron. I think
in
LeBron,
his faith.
too. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. I mean,
being a family man matters to LeBron.
It does, but just like if you're not playing and you're Anthony Rendon, who I'm the president of the fan club.
Yeah.
I just went through my photos and I was going to show you all these pictures we have together. Love the guy. Respect the guy. I will defend him, but he hasn't lived up to that contract. So if you're an Angels fan or a baseball fan,
Yeah.
and you never followed him before and saw what he did, you don't know him intimately. You don't know like the kind of person that he is off the field. You haven't been on a plane or a bus or in a clubhouse with him, and you don't know the type of guy he is. Your judgment of that statement is probably right. And if you're mad at him as a fan, you're probably right. And if I had to say something to him, I would be like, bro, I know you don't care. I know you've always been the kind of guy that just goes about it, doesn't care, and has the pulse at the same level all the time. But like, there's a certain way and a certain responsibility that you have that comes with $245 million.
I would agree with that.
As a professional athlete, there's a certain way to comport yourself with the media. You don't have to be media friendly and look at me, look at me, look at me. But when you have underperformed, I think humility plays.
Well,
I think if it were me and I was his coach, his media coach, I'd be like, bro, I know you don't care. I know your family's more important. But like, based on what's happened here and the injuries and the fights and the fan, like, we have to clean this up a little bit. And it's like, you know what? Nobody feels worse than me that I haven't been out there.
Yeah.
Like, even though my family and my faith is more important, nobody feels worse than me that I haven't lived up to this contract yet.
It's a great one.
And I hope that I can. But if I don't, like, I don't equate my self-worth as a person with my performance. I equate my self-worth as a good father, a good husband, and a man of faith.
Yeah.
But I can see where you guys are coming from. I've sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I've sucked. And I have not lived up to this contract. That plays, humility plays. Fans would be like, oh my God, like, I get it. Like, but to come out and to be like, it comes, his shyness and his awkwardness with the media has always come across as being arrogant. And he is a humble dude. Like, I know him. But like, if I were an Angels fan and I'm judging him based on his contract and his actions in LA, I could see how he's not the most popular dude in the world. And I could see, you read the comments, like, Angels fans want him out of there.
Well, so you bring up so many good points here, but like, I feel like he's saying the quiet part out loud, and this is where discernment comes into my mind. You know, my wife gets mad at me like, you didn't tell me X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, I knew you'd get triggered. Like, it's not lying. It's I'm omitting certain things that I know are going to anger you, right? Like, and do you get the difference that I'm trying to get at? It's Klay Thompson earlier this year. Klay Thompson admitted earlier this year that he didn't care what the fans thought. He didn't care what they were saying and, you know, what they were commenting on online. And I would, same thing if I was, you know, telling Klay, it's like, Klay, like, these fans love you. The few that are commenting don't speak for the majority. Don't acknowledge them. Don't say that quiet part out loud. We know that like you're in the moment, you're not feeling good. You're getting asked a question by somebody that maybe you don't like, or that you think is out to get you, or gonna get the aha quote. Because I understand from their point of view, a microphone in your face, you're getting asked a million questions by people that you don't think understand how difficult your job is. Like, I do get that. Like, you are better at what you do than they will ever be at anything that they do. I understand that. And you're frustrated. And you're also seeing your own vulnerability. Rendon out for a long time. Klay, not the same player, you know, and it's tough to accept. So I look at this and I'm saying, sometimes it's best to just not say the quiet part out loud. Yeah. Do you get where I'm going?
Dude, I live that life every day. There's so many quiet parts that I say out loud. Unfortunately, my filter is not the best.
So we have the Rendon conversation that, you know, we're having right now, but like Klay Thompson brought this up earlier this year, and I think if I pulled 1 million Warrior fans in the arena, they'd be like, yeah, we love Klay, but there's an online crowd that doesn't, and he's responding to some of them right here in a cut from earlier this year.
Hey, you guys have been booed each of the last 2 home games. Obviously, you're not used to that. How do you handle that?
Are you supposed to lose sleep over it?
See, Klay and Rendon have similar demeanors.
Why do you say that?
They're just like chill. They're just chill dudes. Very chill. But inside, their competitive nature is burning. I think as fans, we want to see somebody that's outward. We want to see fist pumps. We want to see emotion.
Yeah.
We
Not
want to
the Brandon Belt.
We want to see that you care.
But
there's nothing more frustrating, Joe, as a sports fan, than thinking I care more than the guy that's making X, Y, or Z.
With you there.
So I'm throwing my remote control at the TV because they lost, and you're watching your favorite player laugh coming off the court.
Hug a guy on the other team.
Sabian used to call down the clubhouse if we were losing and there was a shot of guys on the bench that were laughing, he'd get pissed.
Yeah, I'm with him.
So there's nothing worse than being a sports fan and caring. It appears, the perception is that I care more than him.
Yeah.
But like, there's different ways to show your competitive nature. It doesn't always have to be outward. Like I always just say about Anthony Rendon that there's a fierce competitor down in there that we just don't see because it's not fist pumps. It's snapping after an at-bat, throwing your helmet. Like every once in a while, you'll see a lot of emotion from Clay. But it's not on the reg. A lot of times you'll see emotion from Anthony Rendon, but it's not a regular thing.
Yeah.
They're just flatliners. And that's okay because you remember Garrett Anderson?
Oh, yeah.
Great player, right, for the Angels?
Beat the Giants in the 2002
It
World
looked like
Series.
he never tried.
Yeah.
It looked like he was loafing for ball, like he was jogging to first. Meanwhile, he's playing as hard as he can. They're just different ways to show it.
FP, I have a sickness. If you say Garrett Anderson, I start going Tim Salmon, Sean Figgins, Eckstein. Yeah, my head starts John Lackey. I start just thinking about that 2002 team, so I can't. No, but your point is well taken, and I think I don't question Klay Thompson's dedication to his sport. And I don't necessarily question at Rendon because I haven't followed it close enough. But I understand when you miss as much time as he did, that's the automatic assumption from fans. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the sport. But you reference it like that Rendon in terms of dedication or, priority. Major League Baseball wasn't a priority. What do you mean by that?
There's certain guys that you come across throughout the course of your travels. Eric Chavez comes to mind.
Okay.
He's a guy that I used to be a locker mate with in Oakland that could take or leave baseball. And there's guys like myself that had to eat, drink, and sleep it, that had to live it every second of every day. There's something a little bit more healthy about the former. There really is.
But did it bug you?
No, because as long as you go out and get the job done, there's different motivations for all of us in life, period. Some people's motivation is their job title. Some people's motivation is the amount of money they make. Some people's motivation is about just being a good person at work and being likable. Like some people's motivation in sports is winning a championship. Some are their numbers. Some are their legacy. Some are their paycheck. So there's different motivations. I never cared what your motivation was, as long as at the end of the day, the big W was your main motivation. Like if you're a guy that comes into the locker room and you look at your stats and you're a stat guy, okay. But if you're going to help me win a game, like Jeff Kent was not the best teammate ever. Like he was moody. We had three names for him, like Mikey, JK, and Chuckles. Chuckles was the guy that got 3 hits every day and he's bouncing around the clubhouse. Mikey was the guy that wasn't playing well. He had to stay away from him. And JK was just JK. So like there's certain guys that you're not bros with. He had 3 different personalities. We say it all the time jokingly and to his face. But it's different personalities, right? But if you're going to go out there in the heat of battle and help me win a game, it's not a popularity contest. So if Anthony Rendon's saying these things and he's going out and hitting 320 and driving in 100 and hitting 35, people might go like, oh, all right. But now that he's not playing, he's not even close to living up to 245. He'll tell you, it's not my fault they gave you 245. I just signed the contract.
When I look at someone like Andrew Wiggins right now, I think a lot of people question his dedication to the sport, his whole career, because you're talking about emoting and the emotions that you show on the court. He's a very stoic player. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah.
And I do believe we've questioned his desire and his work ethic. And I always have a hard time sitting in this chair questioning what's going on inside someone's heart, inside someone's soul. I just think it's unfair. It's easy to sit here and say this guy doesn't care and that guy doesn't care. But I've never heard him say a quote like, yeah, it's not a priority for me. There's no like triggering thing to say. Draymond Green is a great example. And I want to hear from the audience, 888-957-9570. You've heard from Klay Thompson say this. You've heard Anthony Rendon say this. Like when you feel that an athlete doesn't care what you think, how does that make you feel? You're the consumer. You're the one helping pay the bills. How does that make you feel? Draymond Green said, I don't get out of bed for games in March. It's like, wait a minute. The game in March might be the only game I can afford to take my family to. Come on, Draymond. I don't say that out loud. Like, I had a problem with him saying that out loud. I want you to be authentic, but I don't want you to say something that disrespects the hard money that I am investing into taking my family to experience a game with you entertaining us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he cares. Like,
I know he
Draymond
does.
might care too much. Could be his problem.
Yeah, but you can't say, I don't get out of bed for a game in March.
Well, I mean, when you've won so many championships, I always wonder how they get up for a game that doesn't count as much as all the meaningful games you've played in the postseason. I always wondered how Derek Jeter got up for a Tuesday game against the Kansas City Royals when he's won all these championships.
And I think that's where this Rendon thing lands. Like, saying it out loud, like, you could feel that way internally. When you say it out loud, you're disrespecting the consumer and the fans, no?
No, he's just played so many games that he's just like, let's get to the finish line. That's where I'm going to show up.
See, my argument would be like, dude, I paid you $112 million in a salary cap league, and you quit.
Didn't. You didn't pay him anything.
Well, no, me watching and me spending here is
I always say
indirectly.
it's not my money. Everyone gets so upset.
It is
like,
ours.
This guy signed for that. It's not my money.
No, but it is our money. This is the way I view it. Look,
All
when
right.
I go to games, I am putting money into the bucket. That's the way I view it. Like, I am putting money into the bucket that's going to pay you. When I pay for Comcast or YouTube TV, I am paying a small rights fee to the, and I'm looking at it real deep here, but I'm paying a small rights fee, which eventually goes back to the team.
You're part owner.
No, we're helping fund it. Like, the fans are very, very important.
I agree.
Like, if this is the way I would put it, we are putting out a product for free right here on the radio station right now. If I disrespect my audience, we don't have an audience. I don't have a product. And so I'm very cognizant of the listener that's out there, and I care what they think. And I want them to like us, and I want them to listen, because without them, I don't have a product. And so I'm aware of that, and I don't want to disrespect them. And so I think on a much different scale, different financial model, that's how sports works. If fans didn't care, the money wouldn't be astronomical. Would you at least meet me there?
Yes. And I also can tell by just knowing you for the short time I have that this show in your career is a huge priority to you.
Absolutely.
And I would say, I would venture that you've found a way to balance being a dad, being a husband, and being super passionate about what you do.
Absolutely.
And I think most athletes would tell you that. I think most people would tell you that about their careers.
I agree with that.
I don't think anybody that's super successful, if you're the 1%er, if you're a 1%er, and that's somebody that's achieved something that most don't, you've sacrificed time with your family.
100%.
You can't make $5 million a year and work 9 to 5 and come home and be there's sacrifices you make
100%
to be a 1%er, which doesn't mean that you don't love your wife, you don't love your kids, you don't love God. Rendon talking about his faith. It just means that to be successful, you have to make sacrifices.
100%.
If and there's nothing wrong with having those priorities and being happy with what you do. But I think that if you're a professional athlete, you know how hard it is? Do you know how hard it is to get there?
No, most of us don't.
Do you know how hard it is to get there?
No.
It's like the odds are astronomical. It's
Yes.
like 1 in 3 million. There's been 33,000 Major League Baseball players in the history of the game. You can't even fill up most arenas with everybody from 1900 whatever to today
That's
of
half
Major
of
League
Levi's.
Baseball players.
Half of
33,000 in the history of the game. So like that's how hard it is to get to that level. And I'm not sure about the numbers in basketball.
Yeah.
I think it's the hardest sport to become a big leaguer.
The NBA?
No, baseball.
Baseball?
Because you get drafted, there's 300 people, 3 guys out of 300 people probably make it to the big leagues from the minor leagues from the day you get drafted. If you're good in football, you go straight to the big leagues. If you're good in basketball, you go straight to the big leagues. I know there's G League. I know there's other leagues in football. But like there's no like minor league system that you have to fight your way through. So once you do sign, if you have a higher draft pick, you get more chances. But there's still, you got to make it through all these different levels and show you're better than that level, better than that level, better than that. And it's a process to get to this level. Maybe that process is a little bit watered down now because if you can play and you can help me win games, you go right to the big leagues.
Gunnar Henderson came up immediately.
Well, he's good. I mean,
Jackson Holiday is going to be up as fast as possible.
Genetics, yes.
But that's the same thing I would say about the NBA. Like, I know your point about the minor leagues. College is part of that minor league system in the AAU circuit, which is totally different from minor leagues, but it weeds it out. Go to a high school. I went to a high school basketball game last night. No, it was a women's game, but go to a Reardon basketball game. Check out that layup line. Check out that layup line. And you tell me, like, and of that team, 6% of them is going to go on to play college. Okay, and every one of them would go to every YMCA. This is the Reardon basketball team, one of the best teams in the state right now. Every one of those kids would be the best player you'd see at a YMCA all day, running up and down the court.
The one thing I want to backtrack on a little bit, and I heard somebody talking about it this weekend, is that basketball is worldwide. So baseball maybe isn't.
Why not?
I think basketball is more. There's so many people that play basketball versus baseball. If there's some number out there, I guarantee you there's more basketball played worldwide than baseball. And to make it to the NBA as one of the best players in the world is probably just as hard. I think football's a little bit different. Because there's more players, the rosters are bigger. If you're playing D1, you probably got a pretty good chance, but it still is the best of the best, and everybody's a 4.5 40 and 6'5 250. Like, I get that part. But like basketball is worldwide. To get to the NBA is hard.
No, it's ridiculously difficult. And I would go like soccer and basketball. The reason, I mean, this is getting really deep, but the reason why they are a much more accessible sport, one basketball, 10 kids can play, one hoop.
Right.
Baseball, everyone's got to have a glove. Everyone's got to have, got to have a helmet, bat. Like it's just the accessories and all of the mandatory things make the entry point significantly more expensive to play. One soccer ball, 22 kids can play.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's an easier financial sport for other countries to be able to play. It's just very, very, very difficult right now. And indoor versus outdoor, even though you can play basketball outdoors, like there's a lot of elements that get baked into it. I don't know. I'm just interested to hear what the fans have to say when you hear someone like Anthony Rendon come out and say that it's not his top priority. 888-957-9570. You hear Klay Thompson say that he doesn't care what people think, and I don't think that's accurate. I think Klay does care what people think. I think Steph cares what people think. I think they all care what people think. Like, Effie, did you care what people thought of you when you played?
No.
Really?
No.
You truly didn't care?
I mean, I just wanted to give fans their money's worth every day. I wanted to give an effort.
So you did care and then on some level.
Well, I realized that the one thing I took great pride in as a utility player is I wanted people to think that was my everyday position if you came to watch me play second.
Yeah.
On one day. Like, oh, that second baseman's good, not that utility player playing second. Ugh. I took pride in my defense. I took pride in how I approached the game, just out of respect for the game. And fans always gravitate. In Montreal, they loved me because I was like a hockey player playing baseball because I was always bloody and dirty and running into crap.
On that turf.
Getting hurt, and there was always ripped uniform with blood on it. They loved me. They're like, this guy's a hockey player, and I like to fight. Like, I get in brawls. Like, I was not afraid.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever played for the fans. I just played for my teammates.
No, I'm
and
not.
I played for the love of the game and a respect for the game. And I guess thinking about it now, Joe, since we're on live radio, I got booed in LA as a Dodger by my own fans, and that was hard.
You see, I think on some level, everyone wants to be liked. Everyone always says, I want everyone to hate me. No, I think the majority of human beings want to be liked.
When I heard Klay say that, what I heard is saying I do care what fans think about me.
Absolutely.
That's what I got out of that.
Absolutely.
And he's just deflecting, like, I'm tough, I don't care. If I say I don't care what somebody thinks about, guess what? You take the negative out of it, the don't, because your brain doesn't. If you tell a kid don't make an error, it's all the kid hears in his brain is make an error. A negative command
100%.
does not sink into your brain. So if you say I don't care, what I hear is I care.
You never gone golfing? Don't hit that guy on the right. Where do you hit that drive?
Exactly.
Right at him.
Yeah.
It's like a freaking magnet. Just FP filling in for Bonte Hill today on 95.7 The Game. We're just kicking around some different topics here.